Welcome back, Goblin Chefs. It's AP Gains. I've seen some concerns raised that I would like to tackle. Um, some people are confused about glyphs and how they will affect the divide between players from a socioeconomic standpoint, if you catch my drift. From the cha-ching, I don't have my wallet here, but if I did, fans of Galaxy of Heroes know that I have a direct line of communication to Capital Games. I pull the wallet out, put it here, and CG just starts singing sweet nothings into my ears. And a lot of people are kind of scared that glyphs and specifically speed are going to destroy the game. And every week there's a video called the game's dying, why the game's dying, this is concerning kind of stuff. So I just wanted to put a lot of those questions and concerns to rest. It's very strange from the extensive market analysis that I have done of the community from all angles. It is quite apparent that the overwhelming majority of players who are playing this game come from an MSF background and not a Galaxy of Heroes background, which I find strange because this game is made by Capital Games, the people who make Galaxy of Heroes. And aside from the number of shards it takes to acquire characters, the games are almost identical between Galaxy of Heroes and Heroes of Middle-earth. This was kind of the big debacle for people being, for Galaxy of Heroes players, our perspective obviously is this is weird, is concerned about the marquee event type. For Galaxy of Heroes players, aka people who play Capital Games games, marquees are how they release every character, and I know that was a big point of contention for a lot of people. It's like, oh, this is not a fun way to roll out characters, and that's just it's just how characters get rolled out for Capital Games. It's a very high earning business model. It's fairly equitable to people who don't spend money because everything is free to play farmable relatively quickly. I'm not 100% sure about MSF. I've played 2 days of that, but from my friends who are big content creators on MSF, they claim that getting characters truly free to play is a very, very long and intensive process over there. And that's just not the case for Galaxy of Heroes and for Heroes of Middle-earth. So be happy that the marquees are how characters get released into the game, because that means you can actually eventually have everything. And that's one of the better things about, say what you will about monetization and all that stuff, but they've done a fairly good job of balancing Galaxy of Heroes and making everything accessible eventually for free-to-play players. So a lot of those concerns I can understand and appreciate are alarming coming from people who've exclusively dealt with Marvel Strike Force, but I can assure you that that's not really a problem. And then as far as speed is concerned, a lot of people are really scared about characters getting lapped and stuff like that as far as speed is concerned. When glyphs first drop, there's going to be a huge difference between the haves and the have-nots, just because it will be day one of a new resource, and I'm sure you can imagine that there's a cap to how much you're going to be able to accrue right away. So for the first, I would hazard to guess, few weeks of the game, there's going to be a noticeable difference between the people who are spending lots of money and the people who are not. But I can assure you that it will subside relatively to the life cycle of metas and stuff like that. Relatively quickly, this problem will subside and not continue to be an issue. I think people are, since it's an uncommon concept for a lot of MSF players, I know a lot of people who watched my Glyph guide video, the Galaxy of Heroes players were like, this is pointless. We understand how mods work. And the MSF people were like, wow, thanks, APK. You did a great job explaining. So it's kind of just like a what you're used to situation. But I can imagine, say, a month, it'll be there'll be a big difference between the people who are spending gems to get the premium currency in this game is called gems, right? I always call them crystals because they're called in Galaxy of Heroes. But yeah, gems. Okay, sorry. You can tell I'm not spending a lot of money on this game. I don't know what the stuff's called that people are buying. But yes, I mean, there will be a difference in the first few weeks to a month, but realistically speaking, especially when they change they change from arena to the multi-squad PvP daily GAC game mode, like you will eventually fall in line with people who are at your level, and the problems won't be noticeable. Just like in Marvel Strike Force or Galaxy of Heroes, if I played someone who spent an unbelievable amount of money, I would always lose. But the way matchmaking and this sort of thing will eventually play out is that's not going to be a concern for you. Now, a lot of people are saying, it's RNG based to get speed on glyphs, and there's only 4. I mean, sorry. Is this for Galaxy of Heroes people? This is like a laughable concept, but most people don't play Galaxy of Heroes for some reason. So, you will not have a problem getting speed on your mods. It won't be a problem for you. Even in Galaxy of Heroes, which theoretically would have given years and years to the people who have spent a lot of money to like refine their roster and their mods and stuff like that. The difference between like a whale mod and like a normal person good mod is, on the extreme cases, 15%, right? You could have an 85% game theory optimal glyph or mod or glyph in this case, relative to the people who are spending lots of money. Now, the reason Galaxy of Heroes people don't like the people who spend money is because they have a whole new system called Datacrons that thankfully are not in this game yet. But yeah, outside of the first couple of weeks, I can assure you, I can guarantee you that the problems will be far greater in our imaginations than they will be in reality. You're not going to have the enemy team taking 2 turns to your 1. Now, if they roll in with a character, I don't have .gg open, but if they roll in with great modded characters that all have really high base speeds, like some of the hobbits and I think some of the elves, and you go in with, I don't know, let me pull up .gg here so that we can play a little thought experiment together. 1 second. If they stats. If they pull up with characters that are all like super high speed, like they have this elf team that has a bunch of speed, and you pull up with like Brute and a couple of like really slow dwarves, and you're like, man, they're taking so many turns. Well, I guess actually it's not even that much of a difference. There's only like a maximum of like 60 difference between the very fastest. There's 50 speed difference. Your mods, I'm gonna give you an arbitrary number, give you plus 30 speed. Theirs gives you plus 45, plus 50 speed. Like, you could do something stupid, like go against really fast characters, really slow characters, and be like, oh my god, they're taking so many turns. But realistically speaking, if you're making like intelligent PvP decisions, which I imagine most people will be capable of doing, you're gonna see the difference of maybe 20 to maybe 25 speed, which is by no means gonna lap people. There's gonna be absolutely no shot that you're going to be like, I can't take a fucking turn. There's some teams in Galaxy of Heroes where they have control mechanics and you just never take turns, or Galactic Legends that have 5 times the speeds of normal characters, but those things aren't in this game yet. So a lot of your concerns about the differences between your glyphs and your opponent's glyphs might suck until matchmaking realizes that you're not a uber whale and you're not spending tens of thousands of dollars on this game, and you'll fall down to a level in the matchmaking to where you're facing people who have comparable rosters, and it won't really be a problem. And then you'll hit the upper echelon where you're facing Giga Whales, and you can be proud. You can be like, oh my god, I'm facing people with better jobs than I have, and instead of working harder and increasing my economic prospects, I'm here playing a game. And that's what I tell myself every day when I look into the cameras and realize that I'm slowly, ever so consistently, wasting my life away. So thank you guys for watching. As always, I love you, and I'll see you later.